Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Okay, now I know I said I was going to give you a super long vlog tonight, but that's just not going to happen because it is late and I'm leaving the casino. I came up here to meet Valerie and it's not super late, but it's late for me. It's like, I don't know, it's like, what time is it? 3:45. And it rained while I was in there and it got really cold. It has rained all night long, you guys. All night long it has rained from like 6 o'clock on. And so I'm gonna vlog on the way home and then I'm going to, so it'll be short. I don't know how long it'll be, but however long it takes me to get home will be, well, until I get to like Fisher's area probably. What was I gonna say? Because I have to get up early tomorrow and I've got a bunch of stuff that I have to do. So, I need to turn the heat on. It's kind of cold in here. I did not do very well at the casino, but Valerie is winning. She's way up, so she's still there. So, I did this like, here, this is for Valerie, because she, oh, come on. Don't do this to me tonight. Focus. Okay. So I did this Q&A on Instagram, and like I did my Q&A video the other day. My shirts never look cute in this car. They always like right up on me and stuff. But anyway, one of the questions I got was from her, and she said, "Do you love Valerie?" So tonight I was telling her, I said it was so funny when I read that, and she was like, "Well, do you?" And I go, "Of course I love Valerie." And she goes, "Well, you could say it." And I go, "I love Valerie." I literally played like 10 machines tonight, and I think I got like, got there at like 12:30, and I think I got maybe 5 bonuses in 3.5 hours almost. It's 3:45, 3:47. I did not have, I mean, it was fine. I had a fun time, but it was like, it's kind of boring when you sit there and you hit a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you don't really hit a whole lot of anything. So let me tell you about my day, because I know you guys are so excited. You're like, oh my God, what was Peter's day like? And you just like wait around all day long and you're like, what was Peter's day like? I can't wait to hear him just talk about it in a car instead of actually seeing it. My day, since you asked. Do you guys know that song? I think it's called Since You Asked by Judy Collins. I love that song. Well, I love the song that I'm thinking of in my head. I don't know if it's called Since You Asked, but I think it is. I think it's a Leonard Cohen song, actually. But I got up to, I don't even know what day is today. Today is Thursday. I got up and what did I do? I went and got a coffee. Oh, I went and got a coffee. And then I had to get a card for David's graduation, and we gave him some money, so I had to get some money from the bank and do all that kind of stuff. And then, so Caroline, my cousin, her son is like my nephew, because Caroline and I were raised like brother and sister, so I just call, he refers to me as his uncle, and I just call him my nephew. So anyway, he graduated tonight. Well, he was supposed to graduate tonight. It didn't happen, and I'll tell you why. So, and Alex even changed his schedule and everything so he could be there. So I went to Target to get a card, and then I was like, oh, while I'm here, I'm gonna go look at their clothes, which I said I wasn't gonna buy any more clothes, but I ended up buying this shirt. It's cute though, don't you think? It's got a little pocket on it. So this was from Target. So if you wanna get it for your man or yourself or whoever, you can go there and get it at Target. I think it was like $20. But anyway, that's why it's hard for me to like not buy clothes at Target, because they have such cute clothes. But the thing is, I don't continue to wear them over and over and over again, because when you wash them, they shrink up like that. So, I got this shirt. I got another shirt too. The camera fell already, like literally like 3 minutes in. It was like when I was turning on the up ramp. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I got these shirts at Target. And what else? Did I get anything else at Target? I feel like I got something else. I got the card. Oh, I did. There, it's doing it again. Oh my God, what is going on? Come on, you stupid camera. Come on, focus on me, camera. Well, it'll focus in a second. There. I did. I bought something to review for my favorites Friday. Because they are my favorites, but I can't tell you what it is. But I was so excited that I found them at Target. So anyway, I did that, and then I came home, and by that point, I had run a bunch of errands, and I had done a bunch of stuff, and it was late. And so it's like the air is cold. It's coming out of here. So I made like one video. I wanted to make a bunch of videos today, but I just didn't get to it. So I made one video, put it on my drama channel, and then my vlog. I had put that up while I was gone. So I did that, and then Alex came home. He fed the dogs, and then I started getting ready because he didn't have to take a shower or anything. So I took a shower, and it was like beautiful out. Like this was at like 5:30, and we were supposed to leave by 6 to get there by 6:30 because it started at 7. And it was beautiful outside. And, but apparently it was threatening severe thunderstorms all night tonight. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And I did know that, like, because Caroline kept on saying that, like, if it, like, got rained out tonight, that it would be on Saturday. So, which is interesting because, like, every other school in the area, like, they all had their graduations tonight too, and they had them indoors places. And Alex's brother, Fufu, Juan Carlos, actually graduated from the same school that we went to tonight, and his was in the gym, and that was like, I don't know what year he graduated, he's 25, but, so 7 years ago, something like that, but it was in the gym, because I remember going to it. So, we're like on the way there. I was like, we walked out, and I was like, it's starting to sprinkle, and I looked at the clouds, and I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. And so when we were on our way there, this severe thunderstorm warning came up, and so then this group text started going off because Caroline had us in this group text with her stepson, her husband's son from another marriage, and then so that's David's brother, and then me and all of us. But anyway. So we started getting these messages, and he was like, we're on our way there, but it's pouring down rain. Should we come? And Caroline and David's girlfriend were like sitting in the pouring rain, apparently, at the place. And she's like, yeah, they haven't canceled it yet. And so we got there, couldn't find a parking space to save our life. The place was so packed. And we were early. But I guess everybody gets there like an hour early, and we were there like a half an hour early. So anyway, we get there, and Caroline's stepson was like, he texted out, like he wasn't up there with them yet, and he texted that they were walking there, and he heard that they were postponing it 30 minutes, and that they were gonna try again in 30 minutes. So Alex and I were like, well, should we walk up there? And Caroline's like, no, we're saving seats, but we're literally in the pouring rain. And it was pouring down, and I felt so bad for her. And she's like, just leave. She's like, you guys don't have to stay for this. And we're like, no, like, we want to be here, like, you know. So obviously we're going to stay. So Alex and I just sat in the car, and for some reason there was like no cell reception. So we couldn't do anything, and we're just sitting there talking about just random stupid stuff. And then I realized that, like, our texts weren't going through. And I was like, what is going on right now? Is this because of the storm? Alex is like, my texts aren't going through either. So then I was like, well, how will we know if they texted us to, like, leave or what we're supposed to do? And at this point, people were leaving. Like, we saw a lot of people leave. Like, not everybody, but there were a lot of people that were leaving. And so we just sat there for like 10 more minutes. We were laughing because it was just so stupid. And then and Alex was like, well, it seems like it stopped raining. And we looked up at the clouds, and it looked like it was going to break. And I said, do you think we should go up there? And he goes, well, I'm going to leave it up to you, babe. And I go, what? Yeah, I mean, we came all the way here. Let's go, at least go say hi to them and see what's going on. So we started walking in. And as we started walking in, it started raining again. Oh, no. We went into the gym because we had to, like, the gym was where all the parents, well, no, it's the multi-purpose center or something, I don't know, was where all the parents were waiting that didn't want to be sitting out in the rain. So we went in there to like go find the bathroom, and then we came back out. We were just standing there, and Alex is like, it's raining again. It started raining again, like really hard. And then it started dying down, and I said, come on, let's just go find them and like say hi. So we like started walking to like the bleachers on the football field, because that's where the graduation was. And like as we were walking in, Caroline and Mike and David's girlfriend were walking out, and because she's like a year behind him, so they were walking out, and so we were sitting there talking, and it was like pouring. I go, can we go inside? Like where it's pouring down rain. So we walked inside, and so now we've been there for like an hour, and Caroline's like, well, apparently like it can't go past 10, so if they can't start it by 8, then they're going to cancel it and move it to Saturday. So we went in the multi-purpose center, or whatever it's called. It looks like a gym is what it looks like, but anyway, I think it's the old gym and they built a new gym. I think that's what it is. So we were just standing in there with all the parents and families, and everybody, of course, is complaining, and there are mothers that are like, I'm writing to the board, this is ridiculous. It's like all that going on, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, I can't imagine being one of these kids in a cap and gown, they were in the gym, stuck in the gym, done with school, wanting to graduate, and being told that I had to stay in this gym. I would have been livid, okay? Caroline was like, what would you be thinking right now if you were like back when you were in high school? I said I would have been thinking I wanted a cigarette is what I would have been thinking. But anyway, I was not a good, I mean, I was a polite, nice kid. we were smoking cigarettes and drinking. That's what we were doing. So anyway, you know, all that. So we were standing there, and Caroline's talking to people that would come up that knew her and stuff, and so finally she's like, you guys can just leave. And I was like, girl, we came for the pizza. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, we're going to your house afterwards for pizza, you said. And she's like, well, if we don't have the graduation, you don't have to come over. And I was like, Caroline, I said, I want to see you guys, I want to hang out. And so like right after I said that, they canceled the graduation for good, because, well, we heard thunder, and then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes later, they came on and they go, we're really sorry to announce this, but we are going to have to cancel the graduation and move it to Saturday morning. And I go, what time is it on Saturday? She goes, 10 a.m. and you have to be here at 9:30. She goes, Peter, you do not have to come. Alex goes, well, I have meetings on Saturday. I'm working on Saturday. And I said, Caroline, I'm going to try my best to be here, but we have because Alex's friend's celebration of life is tomorrow night, and I don't know how late it'll go. I told Alex, I said, if you want to stay downtown, I'll pick you up afterwards, but he has to work on Saturday, so I don't know how late he's going to want to stay. And I said, I just may not stay the duration of tomorrow night, you know, but I'll go out for a certain amount of it, and then, like, I'll stay for the celebration of life, but, like, I don't want to go out to any clubs and stuff afterwards. And because it's kind of like a club thing that they're doing. They're having DJs and stuff. And so I was like, no, Caroline, I'm going to try to make it on Saturday. And she goes, well, why don't we just assume you're not going to come? And then if you come, it'll be a really nice surprise. And I said, I think that sounds like a great idea. So she goes, Peter, you don't have to come. She goes, her stepson and wife are not coming on Saturday. She's like, they said they're not coming on Saturday. And I said, they said it was too early for them or something. I said, okay. I did feel bad for like the kids that, you know, aren't graduated. And I felt bad for, what do you call it? For like the grandparents that had like traveled there and stuff, you know? So anyway, so Caroline was like, well, come over, we'll get pizza, it'll be real fun. So we drove home. It was pouring down rain, and I literally poured for like 3 hours with maybe like a 10-minute break each hour. And so we stopped, and I got some hummus and some cheese and stuff because I felt bad just like showing up and not bringing stuff over there, and some chips. And so Caroline ordered some pizza. It was very good. I had 2 small pieces. I mean, 2 like little pieces. From this pizza place called Jet's Pizza. I'd never had it before. It tasted a lot like Pizza Hut to me. But anyway, and then we sat around the table and we talked. It was Caroline and her husband Mike, and then it was Alex and I, and then David and his girlfriend. And it was nice. Like, we haven't done that in a long time. And we got there at like 8 o'clock, and we ended up staying till like 11:30, 11:45. And we ended up moving into the living room, and we just sat there and talked and told old stories, and it was fun. It was really nice. We had a good time. Oh, and then David took his girlfriend home, so it was just Caroline and Mike and Alex and I. And that was fun. Like, we just never, the four of us, just sit around and talk like that. I'm going to try to take this road I used to take home. Now, it was closed off forever for construction, but I'm going to see if they finished it. So it was nice. We had a really, really good time. It was just, it was nice family to be around, and they're having an open house in like 2 weeks, so I trimmed my beard and it's driving me nuts. But anyway, so yeah, it was good. It was nice. And then tomorrow night we have a celebration of life, and Alex is speaking at that, and he was like working on his speech, and he's really, really nervous about it. What is that on my phone? I don't know why he's so... I don't know why he's so nervous about it. He hasn't ever really done a lot of public speaking, except for like with work stuff, so I think that's why he's nervous. Plus, he knows he's gonna get really emotional. I'm like, babe, it is fine if you get emotional, okay? This was your, like, best male friend, and you loved him, and it's fine. Like, you don't worry about it if you get emotional. People understand. And, but like the last couple years, we've really worked hard in counseling on Alex feeling comfortable being emotional, even just with me, because he's just not a super emotional person, and now he is. And so I think for him to like show that, to other people is scary for him. And it's vulnerable, it's about being vulnerable and being, raw and open. And I think most of us are afraid of that, I think the thing is like, I don't even know how to explain it this way, but like, having been in a 12-step program for so long where you just come and like share your shit, it's like at some point you like share so much that it's like, I have like literally shared, even on here, so much of my life, Oh, Caroline told some story tonight. We were talking about some story, and I said that I wanted to tell this. I was like, I want to tell that story in my vlog, because I had totally forgotten about that. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, we got laughing so hard telling stories tonight. Mike and Alex were sitting there. So, obviously, I don't drink, but the three of them were drinking a little bit. And Mike and Alex started like cussing so much. It was so funny because they don't like Alex cusses and Mike cusses, but they don't cuss like tons. And they like started cussing, like they'd tell a story and they'd be like, and it was like, but they weren't drunk. They had just been like drinking a little bit, and it was like kind of funny. And Caroline and I got laughing so hard. I love her so much. We were talking to David's girlfriend because her family, she has like 8 brothers and sisters, and I was like, those must be big holidays. And she said something like they're big breakfasts or something like that. And I said, here's our family. And she goes, what? And I go, here's our family, me and Caroline. That's what, oh God, this road construction still closed off. I said, this is what it was when we were growing up. Caroline goes, this is what it is still. So anyway, this little house in the corner is so cute. I always wonder if anybody lives in there. And then we came home, we took the dogs out, and I got my camera, and Alex like literally crashed out, and he was like, I'm going to bed. I go, okay. So I said goodnight to him and brushed my teeth, sprayed some cologne on, and then I came up and I met Valerini, Teeny Valerini. That's what I call her. I it was interesting. I got a question on my Q&A that I did, and somebody was like, I got a couple questions. People were like, how long do you think you and your husband will go to marriage counseling? Somebody else said, like, will you go to marriage counseling the rest of your marriage? Somebody else was like, do you think that marriage counseling has any value, having been for 2 years? You know, and it got me really thinking about it, because we don't really think about stopping it, you know? I wouldn't say that we're dependent on it. Like, I think we could stop it and we would be fine. I mean, we're not in the place that we were 2 years ago at all. And that's because of marriage counseling. I feel like we have the tools and the skills to communicate without marriage counseling. But at the same time, it still is such a value to us of the things that we learn when we go in there. And for us, it's an affordable luxury that we don't mind paying. I mean, you know, it's $200 a month for us to go. Plus, we each pay for individual sessions we pay on our own. So marriage counseling, because we go every other week, is $100 or $200 a month. And then, you know, our individual sessions, we go the weeks in between. He'll go one week and I go another. So total, we're spending $400 a month. For what we get out of that, and maybe that sounds expensive to other people, but what we get out of that is so valuable that we're not at a place, like, if we were going and we didn't find any value in it anymore, and maybe that's what will happen, you know, maybe we'll go to another counselor, and, you know, like, we felt very rushed when we got out of that session the other day. I think we both had some fear, like, we don't have a counselor right now, but since that session, which was a week ago, it was a week ago Saturday, you know, since that session, I wouldn't say either one of us necessarily feels that way anymore. Like, we want to find the right person, rather than just get a person. So we don't feel like rushed into it anymore. But I think the other thing is that we still really feel like there's a lot of, we've had quite a few talks about it since last Saturday. We feel like there's a lot of value in continuing to go to marriage counseling. I mean, we feel like it's priceless. And that until we don't feel like it has value anymore, we won't go. I will say this, I actually got some kind of like nasty questions about it. Not nasty, but like the way that it was worded was not nice, I would say. One person said something to the effect of, I can't remember how it was worded. Maybe it was in a comment, I don't know, but somebody said something about, it's so obvious you and Alex are just roommates, and blah, 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 and whatever. Well, first of all, I don't know why you would ever wish that on somebody. Second of all, the reason that we went to counseling was so that we are not just roommates. And I want to make that very, very clear. Like, we both saw the direction that our relationship was heading. I'm very honest about it on here because I want people to know there are specific details of my marriage that I will not share on video unless Alex and I decide to share that together, because that's our business. But as far as like, and it's not just mine, it's his as well. But as far as, and I don't mean like anything, I'm just talking about specific fights and things like that. Like, because as soon as I say that, people are like, oh, they're in an open marriage. We're not in an open marriage. We're in a traditional marriage. Which, if that's what you want to do, that's your thing, that's your marriage, you know? But we're not. The thing is like, we saw, like, Alex and I had both been in relationships before where they had been, like, I want to make this clear. I wasn't like upset or angry when I read that comment or the question or whatever it was. It happened whenever, if it was a comment, it happened at the same time. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if I get comments like that where people are just like, they come to my Instagram and they're just like, it's obvious they're a hater. That's my Instagram. I don't do that on comments. I don't do that anywhere, but that's my Instagram that my family sees and my close friends. And if people are gonna come over there and be asses about it, I'm just gonna block you. I'm just, period, end of story. And you can make 15 different fake accounts, and every time you leave a nasty comment, I'm just gonna block you. It's my personal Instagram. I'm not gonna privatize it because I want people like you out there that do like me to be able to see the pictures that I post and things like that. I want that to be up there. If it's a nasty comment and it gets by me and I don't see it, hey, that's fine. But I'm just gonna be real honest about that. So people don't have to guess like, oh, Peter blocked me or Peter deletes comments. Yes, if you leave something really, really horrible on my Instagram, I will block you, period. That's mine. That's my personal Instagram. That's for my friends and family that I, interact with, as well as the people that like me. And if you don't like me, then you don't have to go. You can send me a DM. You can send me an email telling me what a horrible person you think I am and that my marriage is fake and all that kind of. You do what you need to do, right? But if you put it on my Instagram, I'm gonna delete it. The thing is that when Alex and I got to that point in our marriage that neither one of us were happy, we were worried that we were headed into a place that was gonna be just us being roommates. We were scared because we had both been in relationships like that before. I don't know a lot of people out there that if you've been in a long-term relationship that at some point you haven't been there. It gets scary. You get comfortable in relationships. You love the person, but to some degree you kind of fall out of passion with them a little bit. Like, that's one of the questions we get a lot when Alex and I do Q&As. Like, I just put up a questionnaire for Alex and I to do a Q&A. I saved all the questions because we haven't had time to do it yet, but like, so many people ask, how do you keep the passion alive in the marriage? And that's the thing. How do you? Like, that's a trick, right? Like, okay, Alex comes home from work. He's tired. He wants to put on his pajamas, his shorts and a tank top. He's not ready to be frisky and be passionate, And then I'm not up early in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, so how do you find time for that? Well, what we didn't even realize was, and maybe this is too much information for people out there, but I think there's a lot of people that relate to this, so I want you to hear it. What happens is, over time, it starts fading. It's like, okay, well, you used to, when you got together, you were physically intimate all the time. And then it fades down to, 3-4 times a week. And then it fades to twice a week. And then once a week. And then it's once a month. And then it's every other month. And then that's where we were. That we were like having to make time for it other than it just happening. And what we realized was that's why the 12 forms of intimacy were so vital to us, right? Because what happens is with the 12 different forms of intimacy, it's not just physical intimacy, it's recreational intimacy, it's spiritual intimacy, financial intimacy, blah, blah, blah. It's all these different, forms of communication intimacy. There's all of these different forms of intimacy. The more you I guess it stopped. I didn't know. I didn't even know I was at the end, so I have no idea what time it stopped at. But I was talking about the different kinds of intimacy. So, the 12 forms of intimacy. And so the more connected you are, the more physically intimate you're going to be, because you're going to want to be, because you just are so connected to this person, right? And physical intimacy is not just sex. Physical intimacy can be holding hands. It can be just kissing, making out. Like, that's big for Alex and I. Like, making out, like, we're big about that. And just touching somebody, And so what we didn't realize was that we had, the physical intimacy was what we realized, okay? Because we could put a time on it. Well, every 2 months, okay? We're finding time, And then I had been in, relationships where it goes way past that. And then it's like you don't remember the last time. And then it's so tense when you do, and then it feels forced. And nobody wants to be in a relationship where you love the person, but you feel like you're forcing yourself to be intimate with them. And we didn't want to get to that point. That was what we were scared of, right? That all of this stuff was coming in between us and we were separating us. And we actually had a conversation where we said, we are going to get to the point where we are just roommates. So that comment didn't bother me, okay? What I don't like about it is that that's not where I'm at today. And I share so much of my marriage and so much of my life on my vlog that if you come there to say that and you say it in a really nasty way, it's because you just don't like me. And that's fine. You have your right to your opinion. You have your right to watch me. You have your right to write it underneath the vlog. And I have my right to block it. So that's just how it is. And I'm very proud and protective of my marriage today. I don't know that I could have said that 2 years ago. I don't know that my husband could have said that 2 years ago. I also think that people that see that in other people are probably people that have experienced it or are experiencing it themselves. So I'll just put that out in the world. But, you know, what we realized going in to counseling and why that was so important to us, that one piece that I've talked so much about, was that when we started communicating better and we started, you know, talking about, like Alex being open to like having spiritual conversations with me today, you know, where, you know, we're talking, like he's talking on the way home yesterday about like a lot of the things that you've said over the years about spirituality. Like my eyes were kind of open through this experience, and I'm like, okay, and you know, I'm not somebody that forces my beliefs and my feelings on somebody else. And so we were sitting there having we were having a conversation that we would never have had 5 years ago, you know. We're very open about finances in a way that we weren't in the past. We didn't know how to talk about money. I remember the exact session that we were sitting in there, and our counselor's like, you know, something about, we never thought about money, but we didn't know how to talk about it. And he said that to us. We were talking about something to do, some issue had come up with money, and he looked at us and he goes, do you guys even think you know how to communicate about money? And I was like, I looked at Alex and I was like, no. And Alex was like, no. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't even know what a healthy conversation between a couple looks like talking about money. And I grew up with my dad just taking care of everything. So I had no role model for what that was supposed to look like. And that was like several sessions of him talking to us about how you talk about money, you know, financial intimacy with each other. And that was important, you know. Setting boundaries and limits, recreational boundaries, things like that, you know, like it was so vital to us. And what happened was that the more we, like, you know, were connected on all these different levels, intellectual intimacy, you know, talking about, you know, different ideas and philosophies and having these deep conversations. And, you know, we just couldn't wait to talk to each other. And now we have these dinner dates where we just talk the whole time and whatever, you know, then all of a sudden it's like the physical intimacy came back. And I'm looking at my husband and I'm thinking, I love this man with every bit of my heart. Like I'm in love with this man in a way that I never saw him before, in a way that I didn't see 10 years ago, okay? That I'm in love with him in a way that I did not see 10 years ago. And he's in love with me in a way that he didn't see 10 years ago. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you get to that point, the physical intimacy changes. And I'm not just talking about sex there either. I'm talking about when you kiss your husband after 10 and a half years and it still feels like a first date. That's what I want. That's why we went to counseling. Because I don't want to be roommates with my husband. And I think it happens to a lot of relationships. I'm sitting here saying this right now, and I know there is one person out there saying to themselves, my husband or my wife and I, we're roommates. Like, what do we do? You know? And I think the thing is, so people want to ask me, well, how do you keep the passion alive in the relationship? How do you ignite the passion? You know, when you first meet somebody and early, you're dating and, you know, you're into that person and whatever, the thing is, it's real easy, isn't it? Like, you just can't wait to get home, and it's screwing. It's physical intimacy. It's screwing. Okay, let's just be for real. And so you can't wait. You can't wait to make out with that person and hold hands and cuddle and be affectionate. But like over time, it's like, that stuff kind of fades. Well, it's about falling in love over and over and over again. Because if you think about, no matter how long you've been with your partner, okay? So let's say, like, I've been with Alex 10 and a half years, okay? We're going on 11 years. I have changed so many times as a person in 10 and a half years. Alex has changed so many times in the last 10 and a half years. I can't assume that the person that I was in love with 10 and a half years is the same person that he is today, because it's just not, It just isn't. And I'm not, and he can't be in love with the same person I was 10 and a half years ago, because I'm not the same person. So it's about falling in love over and over and over again with that person, and getting to know them over and over and over again, and staying on top of who that person is. Like, that's what it's about. That's the longevity of a relationship. And if you don't, and you're not invested in that, because most people aren't, because I think what happens, it happened to me in my last 2 relationships, no fault of either one of us, except for that we weren't doing the work, because we didn't know that was the work that we needed to do. And that's what was happening to Alex and I, and we realized it, because we were like, we've done this before, we've been there before, we know how it feels, we're afraid of it happening to us again, we're too invested in our relationship. And so that's why we're like, we don't want this. And that's why Alex was like, we need to be in counseling, Well, I think sometimes people don't really want to go to counseling until it's so bad that they have no other options. And at that point, I think sometimes it's too late. So I'm glad that we didn't get in when it was too late, So if you're feeling those things, go. Like, it's time to go. Because you don't want to get to that point. Because I think it's really, really hard, once you're there and you're just, you don't know how to fix it anymore. And you don't even know if you want to fix it. That's the thing. It's like, you don't want to be single, but you don't want to have to do the work to fix the relationship. It's a lot of work. Relationships are work. They're not easy. If I even told you guys half the kind of conversations and the work that we do that's private to us to make our relationship work, I mean, it's hard. It's having the conversation with your husband or wife or partner. If you're not, like, I know a lot of people that are like best friends with their partner, and that's like really the only person they interact with. But if you're not, like, imagine the conversations you have with your girlfriends or your, guy friends. Imagine having that with your partner. A lot of people don't, And it's about sharing that stuff with them and allowing them in and allowing them to be vulnerable. That's why, like, Alex being emotional was such a huge issue to our marriage. Because if he couldn't be, and I'm such an emotional person, how are we ever going to connect on that level? We weren't going to be able to. So, I don't know. Like, so in answering the question, how long will I continue to go to counseling? As long as it continues to be valuable. And it's like, I know this is totally cheesy, but I remember years ago when Vicky on The Real Housewives of Orange County said something to the effect of like, it's funny because I'm sitting here in my head, I'm thinking to myself, well, the haters that are watching this, all they're going to hear is that Peter blocks and deletes comments that he doesn't like that people come for him. And maybe that's all you'll take from that. But even if you hate me, even if you dislike me, what I really hope you'll take from this is that each of us out there, even if you're somebody that just really, really despises me, what I hope that everybody takes from this is that whether you're in a relationship with somebody or whether you're on your own, we all have work that we can do in ourselves. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt that this is not a dress rehearsal. You're only there once. Do some work to allow yourself to be the person that you deserve to be. Because I just guess I didn't even realize that, Like, I thought I don't know. Like, I just thought, I mean, you would think after having been a counselor and, all this kind of stuff and reading 5,000 self-help books and being in recovery that I would think that, like, that was something that was like a valuable exercise, which I knew it was, but I think I was scared of it too. I was like kind of scared of like, well, what am I going to have to change? You know, what am I going to have to look at? What am I going to have to do? And it was scary, and there was a lot of things. And you know, I'm not so scared today of looking at the things in my life that I've screwed up at, and that has been like such a great result of counseling, is that I'm not afraid to look at that stuff anymore, you know, because I know that there's a way out of it. But I'm the way out. Like, I have to do the work to work through it. So anyway, but I know I'm having this conversation in my head that that's like, you know, what some people are going to think. But this is a really important conversation that I'm having, and me sharing my experience of counseling. Because what I don't want is this for people, okay? Because, you know, this is what would have happened, honestly. Alex and I would have stayed in our marriage and got real comfortable, stopped being physically intimate, stopped having any kind of intellectual intimacy or recreational intimacy until basically we just weren't interacting at all. And we were roommates, absolutely 100%, like somebody said. And then we looked at each other one day and realized, what are we doing? Neither one of us is happy. Why are we in this marriage? And it would have been over. And we didn't want that. So that's why we invested in it and why we continue to. And the other thing is that, you know, we see, like, finding a new counselor, like we both talked about this week, is like, we loved our counselor so much, but we didn't have any idea when we walked through the door, like, what we were going to learn from him. Who knows what we're going to learn from our next counselor? You know what I mean? Like, we may take away the 12 forms of intimacy. I mean, he or she may introduce us to some ideas for our relationship that may take our relationship from here to here that we don't even recognize, you know? And I remember, like, one of the counselors, or one of our first sessions with the counselor, when we were sitting in there, he asked us each what we wanted. And I was talking to him about this couple that I knew, and that, like, I saw them at this restaurant one time, and they were like, they're both in their like early 60s, and really cool couple. But like, they could fight, but then they could also, like, I saw them sitting there, and they were staring across this table at each other, like, they just were so in love with each other. And I said, that's what I want. And that's what I have today. And that's what I'm protective of. So as long as I need to go to counseling to do that, I guess I'll continue to go. And I'm not afraid of that. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I don't see that as a negative, you know? To me, it's very similar as asking, like, an athlete, well, how long will you continue to have a coach or a personal trainer, you know? Or, like, how long will you continue to do this? I mean, well, if it's working, why, you know, keep on doing what you're doing. But anyway, but the other part of my head is right now saying that this is an important conversation, because if there's even at least one person out there, just one of you out there, that's thinking to yourself, Peter is describing the exact situation I'm in, and I want to save my marriage, or I want to save my relationship, what do I do? Get in counseling. Ask your partner. And if they don't want to go, say, well, I'm going to go on my own. Would you please consider it? You know? And I said this in a video the other day, and somebody, they commented on it, and it's the truth. And I sometimes have to say, I know, like, in my drama videos, I come across as kind of, like, you know, sometimes very direct, but I'm like 100 times more direct in my personal life, you know? And the thing is that I have had the blessing of having mentor teachers in my life who were so direct with me. I just said it how I needed to hear it, you know? That I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful they didn't BS around. I'm grateful they told me what I needed to hear. I'm grateful that they weren't worried about pissing me off. I'm grateful that they weren't worried about the fact that I might not like them, because if they said something to me that offended me or hurt my feelings or made me angry, that I wouldn't talk to them anymore. They were more concerned with my betterment and me being the best version of myself that I could be. And those people, because they acted that way to me, after the fact, when I looked back, there's this old guy that goes to my home group meeting. Literally, I met him like in my first week sober, and he was such an ass to me, and he was such an ass to Tanya too. Like, we both talk about him, and he is like in his 80s and 40 plus years of sobriety. Okay, I respect this man like nobody's business. Let me just tell you something. The week that 2 weeks before my mother was dying, I sat in a group with him, and I said, and people are going to think this is cold, and I don't care, because this is what I needed to hear at that time. I said, I don't know what to do. I have these emotions, but I don't really feel them. I feel detached from the situation, and blah, blah, blah. And the whole group went around, and everybody, you know, shared their experience of what they suggested and whatever, and they, you know, like, 12-step programs are not suggestion programs, so you just share your personal experience. Like, well, this is what worked for me, right? The next week, I came back. I guess it was maybe like a month before my mom passed away, because the next week I came back, and he was sitting in my group, but it was a lot of different people, because we split up groups. And I brought up the same topic again, kind of reworded, but I brought it back up again. And he got up while I was speaking and walked out. And I was like, what just happened? Like, literally, like, got up, took his chair, and walked out. And I was like, what just happened? So, after the meeting, I went outside, and I was standing there, and I was, you know, talking to people and whatever. And he goes, can I talk to you for a second? I said, yeah. And he said, we sat in here last week, and we gave you all of our experience, strength, and hope, and you didn't take any of it to heart. And he said, don't come back here next week not having applied that to your life. We care and love enough. We care about you and love you enough to tell you the things that you need to hear. And you picked and chose what you wanted to hear. Don't come back in here next week with the same topic. And he turned and walked away from me. I was so pissed, okay? I was so pissed. The things that people shared with me. Say everything that you have to say to the person, say everything you have to say to your mother before she dies. People shared that they had the opportunity to sit down, make amends, and say everything that they had to say to their parent before their parent passed away. Be there. Be present if you can possibly be there. If you can't, that's okay. But if you can be there, be present. Have people around you that love you. I did every one of those things that those people told me to do because it stuck in my head. And because of that, I got through that. And I got through it with grace. Because those people loved me enough to tell me things that were hard for me to hear because I thought, I don't want to hear this right now. And when I see that man today, I give him a huge hug, and he knows how much I love him. And that wasn't the last time that he told me some shit that I didn't want to hear about myself, you know? When you see coaches, good coaches, I'm not talking about coaches that are abusive and things like that, good coaches on football fields telling their players what they need to do, having them run drills, having them come to conditioning, that's because they see something in them and they want them to be the best. That's not because they're just hateful, mean people the majority of the time, you know? And I'm so happy that people in my life have been that direct with me. And I've had so many people, you know, that just, when I first got sober, you know, my counselor knew, she knew that my being gay was an issue with my using. She knew it. Because I sat in her office and I talked to her about like, oh, I wasn't comfortable with myself when I was growing up and blah, blah, blah. She knew that I numbed myself with drugs and alcohol. So I go to her office the day before, because I came over from the detox to the rehab unit, and I came over, it was the day of group, and I knocked on her door and I said, can I talk to you for a second? She said, yeah. Oh, she'd die if she heard this. She and I are still friends today. And I said, can I talk to you for a second? She said, yeah. And I said, So we don't need to talk about me being gay in group. And she goes, what? And I said, I don't want to tell anybody that I'm gay in group. And she looked at me and she goes, you don't think anybody knows that you're gay? And I go, well, I don't know what they know or they don't know, but we're just not going to talk about it. And she goes, okay. So we went to group the next day, or that day or whatever, and I'm sitting in there. And let me just tell you, at 22, I was in there with some, I was in there with some guys that had some hard lives. And they were such gentlemen to me. I mean, they cared about me. They really cared about me. And I remember she introduced me. She goes, group, we have a new member. This is Peter. And Peter's gay, but he doesn't want anybody to talk about it. So from now on, we're not going to talk about Peter being gay. I looked at her and I was like, she did not just out me. And they are all laughing, right? Like, we all knew. And then, when I talked about my smoking pot, because I, at the time, was smoking between, we didn't do grams back then, so I don't know grams today, but I know all the kids do grams today, but I was smoking about a quarter to a half ounce of pot a day. No lie, you guys. I mean, I was smoking a lot of weed. And so she started talking about my drugs, and I said, I'm here for cocaine and alcohol. I'm not here for my pot smoking. Everybody smokes pot. She goes, you're not here for your pot smoking. And I said, nope, I'm not here for my pot smoking. It's not a problem for me. And she goes, well, when you are ready to address your pot smoking, you can come back to group. And I go, excuse me, are you kicking me out of group? She goes, absolutely. I don't think I came back to group for 2 days. And then I knew I had to come to group to get out of treatment. So I was like, fine, I guess I'll come back to group. And I was pissed and not happy about it. And she asked me that first day back, she's like, something to the effect of, like, so you're ready to deal with your pot smoking now? I was like, mm-hmm. And she goes, well, that doesn't sound like you're really that sure. If you're not sure, you can leave group again. I was like, God, this woman is on my ass. And then for the New Year's dance, I went into her office again. And I knocked on her door. And let me just tell you, okay, she's 3 years older than me. She was 25, straight out of a graduate program with her master's degree. I was pissed. I thought, she does not know me. And, oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. And so I went to her and I said, so I want to look really nice for the New Year's party. Do you think that I could have my hairstylist come in here and cut my hair? I'd already called to see if she would come in. My hairstylist at the time would come in and cut my hair. And she said yes. And my counselor just looked at me and she was, excuse me? And I said, I just wanted to see if I could have my hairstylist come in here and cut my hair. So there's this idea, right, that nobody's unique. So get over it. You're all the same. We're all the same, right? Like, we've all been beat down by addiction. And when you start thinking you're super special and super different, right, that's when you start thinking, well, these things don't apply to me. I'm different than everybody else. And that's a problem in a 12-step program, because when you're in a 12-step program, if you think I'm different, this doesn't apply to me, or I'm different, this doesn't apply to me, you're not going to be successful, right? So me asking for special privileges was me looking like, I thought, you know, I was an entitled, spoiled brat. And so she looked at me and she goes, no, princess. And since you think you're so special and so unique that you need to have your hairstylist come in here for the New Year's dance to cut your hair, you're not going to go to the New Year's dance. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, you're not going to go to the New Year's dance. I go, well, everybody's going to the New Year's dance. They just used to have this huge New Year's dance, recovery dance. She goes, well, you're not going. And it was like me and like 4 other dudes that were straight off a detox in there. And we ended up going to, I'm like, I've been talking so long. I don't know if I want to tell this story tonight because it's getting, the camera fell again. Okay. So I'm going to tell the Pickle Lady story in a second, and that's where I'm going to end this. Because it is really important for me to tell that story. I haven't told it in a long time on here, and for me, it is the perfect example of how I truly do believe that somebody can change in a night, because it happened to me. So when we sit there and we say people can't change overnight, yes, I believe that people can change overnight. I absolutely do. I think they have to have the open-mindedness, the willingness, and they have to have the ability to be willing to do the work. But yes, I do believe that people can change overnight. It's happened to me on many occasions. It happened to me the night that my mother passed away. I walked into that room one person, I walked out of that room a different person. And if you have ever been in a room with somebody when they have passed, or you've ever experienced a major death in your life, or a passing of somebody that you truly, truly love, your life is altered in a way that you will never be the same person again. Period. End of story. So yes, I do believe that people can change overnight. But I wanted to say this thing first about why I was bringing this up to begin with, was that, you know, I had said the other night, somebody had asked me something about, well, if your partner won't go to marriage counseling with you. You know, for me, if it were me, and what I had said was, if your partner doesn't want to go to marriage counseling with you and you've asked them, that should tell you how they feel about their investment in the marriage. And somebody in the comment section was like, that's absolutely 100% correct. They said something like that, you know? And the thing is like, there's many of us out there that have gone through that and asked, and me being one, and the answer being, no, I don't want to go. And we make excuses in our heads. I made excuses in my head, you know? It wasn't with Alex, this is previous to that, but I was the one in this relationship that was resistant to go. But, you know, I think today, going forward, like if I wanted that and my partner didn't, I would say, well, I'm going to go on my own, and I hope that you'll join me, and I would give it some time, and I would share with them what was going on. And if nothing was changing and I still wasn't happy, I think at some point I would have to say, hey, listen, like, if you really aren't going to go and you're not willing to do this one thing I'm asking, then I'm going to have to reevaluate, like, this relationship and, like, what my place is here, you know? I don't know. For me, it would be like, I would feel like it was somebody not fighting for the marriage, is how I would feel. But anyway, that's how I got on the whole thing of people, me being that direct sometimes, you know? But the pickle lady story, okay, so I had to stay back for the New Year's dance. I was not happy about it. I was pissed beyond belief, because I wanted to go to this dance. It's all anybody was talking about was this dance, and how they were going to have all this food and real coffee. When you're in treatment, you crave real coffee because it's all decaf, right? Everything they have is decaf in there. And that you're gonna get real coffee, and they were gonna have all kinds of food. It was a sit-down dinner, and they had bought everybody tickets that were gonna go, and there was dancing all night long, and it was gonna be till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and yada, everybody was gonna be dressed up, and it was gonna be so much fun, and they were gonna do a sobriety countdown, where they stand in a circle. If you've never seen a sobriety countdown, well, I mean, if you're not in a 12-step program, you've never seen a sobriety countdown, but a sobriety countdown is where they have the person with the most sobriety. My camera's... You guys, the camera fell again. I apologize for the camera malfunctions of the world. Anyway, okay, sobriety countdown. So, like I was saying, they count down, and then like at 24 years, I would stand up, right? So like they go down and they'll say 23, 22, and they go all the way down. And then when they get to like 24 hours, they sometimes ask for like less than that, like 12 hours, but they don't usually go like an hour. But they don't usually like at things like that. But usually there's somebody there that has been sober just a day. And so then what they'll do is, the person with the most time will give like a coin or a book to the person with the least amount of time. It's really moving, you guys. Like, it's really a cool thing. And so anyway, I wanted to go. I wanted to dance. Have been in this treatment program, you know, for 2+ weeks at that point. I was ready to go. So anyway, but I didn't get to. I was out of cigarettes, okay? And the only way for me, that was the other thing, was it was like blizzard conditions that year. It was horrible weather, right? And the only way you could get cigarettes was if people brought them in. But I also knew that you could like, if you went to outside meetings, they would take you to a meeting in a van once you were on a certain level. And once you, if you went to outside meetings, that the driver would stop on the way back sometimes, and you could get food or you could get whatever you want. It was like a privilege, like if you went to a meeting. So I was like, I was out of cigarettes, and I was like, I've got to go to this meeting that I didn't want to go to. So we go, we all pile in, me and these 4 dudes, or however many there were, in this van, and we go out on this wintry night. And I went to this meeting that was in the bottom of this church that was actually kind of close to where I lived growing up. And I went to this meeting for a long time after I got out of treatment, but it was in the basement of this church. I remember we walked down there, it was just like, people don't really smoke in meetings anymore. I don't know of any smoking meetings in Indianapolis, but back when I first got sober, there were a lot of smoking meetings. So anyway, we go down this church basement, it's just like smoke everywhere. And I remember we sat down at this table, and or we sat at these tables in the back, and later I came to this meeting after I got out, and they used to have candy in the middle of the table. I remember that. And so this woman said to me, like when there was like these 3 old women that I would always sit with at this meeting. And this woman said something to me about the candy. I can't remember how she said it, but she was like, you need a job. And I was like, I need a job. She's like, yeah, you need a service position. And I go, okay. This was literally like my first or second time back at this meeting, like once I got out of treatment. And she was like, your job from now on is going to be that you need to every week bring a bag of like the little miniature candies and put them in the middle of each table. Like you need to take, a handful and put it into the middle of each table. And I was like, okay. She goes, that's your service position. So like for the next 6 months, I did that. And at some point, I can't remember how long it was. It was a long time. It was like almost a year. 6 months, 9 months, something like that. One of these women, like the woman that had said it to me, she said, I think it's so nice that there's this candy on the table. Who does this? And I said, I do. You told me that was my service position. She thought it was hilarious. She didn't even remember telling me. But anyway, so the night that I went to this meeting, in the blizzardy storm, it was like, it was a speaker meeting. And so this woman got up and she shared her lead, shared her story, and she was older. She was probably late 60s. And her story was like horrific. And I remember at one point, she talked about like being like professional, and then she ended up sleeping underneath a park bench. She was homeless and stuff. And I was like, this lady is screwed up. Like my life would never get like that. Okay, mind you, at the time, I would have been homeless had my dad not been paying my rent. So let's just put things in perspective, okay? I had a very skewed view and perspective of the world. No gratitude whatsoever. I just didn't get it. And that's why I needed to hear things hard. I needed to have people be direct with me, because if they weren't, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have heard what I needed to hear. So anyway, she starts giving this lead and telling this story, and I'm thinking, I am looking at every difference instead of every similarity, okay? Instead of what I should be doing is looking at the similarities, I'm looking at all the differences between me and her and why I'm not like her. And she had this jar of pickles. It was this huge jar of big dill pickles. On her, like when she was speaking, she had it up there with her, and I thought, what is she gonna do with these pickles? I kept on wondering the whole time. I was like, is she gonna hand out these pickles? Are the pickles for us? I like pickles. What are the pickles for, right? Because I like pickles. So anyway, she, at the very end, she's speaking and she's kind of looking here and looking there, looking there. She's never really like looking at me or anything, and I'm not connecting with her story at all. And at the very end, she puts her hand on top of the pickle jar, and at the very end, she puts her hand on the pickle jar, and she said, and that's why I carry this jar of pickles with me everywhere every time I speak. And she looked right at me, and she said, because I used to be a cucumber, but now I'm a pickle. And once you get pickled, you can never go back. And I thought, I am screwed. Because I knew in that moment that she was absolutely right. That my using would never be the same for me again. All of this BS that I convinced myself of, that I could stop. Oh my God, you guys. It fell again, obviously. But anyway, she said that, and then I got angry. And then I got mad, like in my head. Like, how does she know me? Like, she doesn't know me. Why was she looking at me? And I was mad because what she said was correct. And I knew that. And I knew it in my heart, and I knew it in my soul. And I believe so deeply that, you know, it was a spiritual thing that I was supposed to be there. I really, really believe that, you know? And then we left, and we're like in the snow. And I remember driving back. We were driving through where Castleton is, if anybody lives in Indianapolis, and there's like Taco Bell and Arby's and Burger King and McDonald's and all these fast food places. And the driver was like, does anybody want to stop somewhere? We ended up stopping at this gas station, but he was listening to National Public Radio. I don't know why all these pieces fell into place for me that I needed to hear them, but that's how it was. All of these, you know, little small pieces that happened that night. Me not going, me being entitled, my counselor telling me, you know, princess, you know, you're going to stay back, and all this kind of stuff. So we're driving, and as he's asking us, and we're like looking at this place, you know, we can stop and get food and take it back to the treatment center. He's listening to National Public Radio, and they're talking about, like, I can't remember, I think it was Herzegovina, but I don't know what country it was, but they're talking about women being dragged through the streets and being raped. It was some war that was going on at the time, some civil war. And I remember hearing that, and they were like interviewing these women, and they were like translating it. And I thought to myself, because you were born in a different country, in a different gender, to a different family, because you were given luxuries other people weren't, your life looks so different, but your life could look like that. And you better have some gratitude for that. And it was an aha moment. And then we got back, and I watched the ball drop, and I was pissed, and I tried to get a hold of some of my friends because, please don't fall. They were all going out, and I was trying to keep tabs on all of them, even though I was having all these aha moments rushing at me. And I had a friend that brought me like all the Michael Crichton books, and so I finished like whatever I was reading, whatever the last one was, Jurassic Park or something. I'd finished it that night, and so I went to this counter, and this guy that was working there, he ended up becoming a good friend of mine later, but I like put the book on the counter, and I said, do you guys have any other books to read back there? And he took the basic text, and he threw it down on the counter, and he goes, why don't you go try that? And I was like, damn, like, these people are rude. And so I went to the cafeteria, because I didn't want to sit in the lounge anymore, and they used to put out, and I loved it that they did this, I don't know why this meant so much to me, but they would put out these trays of like little lunch meat, and like, you know, turkey and ham and bologna, and then bread and cheese, and you could make sandwiches, and they put little Oreos out and bags of chips and yogurt and, you know, all kinds of little treats and stuff, and you can just eat as much of it as you wanted. I remember I made myself a little plate, and I get real emotional talking about this. This was, for me, like, life-changing moment. When I went in there and I sat down in the cafeteria, and it doesn't look like this anymore, but back then at that cafeteria, they had all these sayings on the windows, like spray painted on the windows, you know? And it would say, like, keep it simple, stupid, or one day at a time, or if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. And sitting there that night, I read the first 164 pages of the basic text, and at the very end of it, it said something to the effect of, as we trudge the road of happy destiny, we will surely meet some of you along the way. And I knew in that moment, you know, like, I knew that, like, I didn't know what that road of happy destiny was, but I knew I wasn't on it. And those simple words just, like, meant so much to me. Like, I didn't really grab onto a whole lot else that was in that basic text, that first 164 pages. I just really didn't. It seemed old-timey to me. It seemed very Christian-based, very biblical. I didn't relate to it a whole lot. But those words to me, and every time I speak, I always read the last paragraph on page 164. And I knew I wanted that. Like, I knew I wanted to be happy again. I hadn't been happy in so long where I could just actually wake up and say, like, I'm happy today, you know, or I'm content. I couldn't say that. Like, I had been miserable for a really, really long time. And I think that, you know, all of that between me feeling entitled and special, but like deep down, like I knew I wasn't. Like I knew that was shit. I wasn't special. I wasn't different. I wasn't unique. You know, maybe my personality was unique. Maybe things about me were unique. But I wasn't any better or any worse than anybody else. And I would build myself up because it was important, you know, that I thought other people think that I was something that I wasn't, you know? Because if they did, then it built me up, which was crap. So I had to be humbled and be taught that night that you're not so special. And then I had to hear the message from the pickle lady that, you know, if I kept on trying what I was doing, if I always do what I always did, I was going to always get what I always got. That I was going to continue to get this over and over and over again because this is my 5th treatment, you know, at 22. It wasn't looking pretty for me. And then on the ride home, you know, hearing about it and having such gratitude for what my life looked like in a way that I had never had gratitude for my existence before. I took everything for granted. And then being offered happiness. What a simple gift. What a simple gift. If you do what we do, and you do what we tell you to do, you too will have happiness in your life. And we will surely meet some of you along the way. And sitting here today, I can say that that is the truth. But those things needed to happen for me, and they needed to happen in that way. And I continue to look at things like that in my life today, that when things happen, they happen for a reason. And I can't ignore it, and I can't push it away, and I have to be thankful for it, which is why I love the saying by Maya Angelou, that when you're going through the biggest tragedy of your entire life, look up and say thank you, because you're about to learn one of the most valuable lessons in your life. And that was, for me, a really, really valuable night. Like, one of the most powerful nights I've ever had in my entire life. So anyway, my camera, I don't have this behind there, so it's flickering off and on. I don't hope it isn't for you guys, but I have talked way longer than I thought I was going to tonight, but I'm glad. I wanted to share that story. I need to tell that story from time to time. I need to remember that. Like, that New Year's Eve for me was really powerful. It was funny. I got a question on my Q&A. Somebody said, what did you do after you got sober for Christmas, like 10 days later or something, because my sobriety date is the 17th of December. And I was like, I was in treatment. We didn't do a whole lot. And my family didn't come to visit me. And some of them wanted to, and I told them not to. And my dad and my stepmom were like, we're not coming. So, because they were pissed. But I did have a couple friends that came to visit me. And it was weird. But that's another different story. You know, I get emotional, I get moved by that story, because the greatest gift I've ever been given in my entire life, the moon is so pretty, it's literally like just a little crescent moon tonight. The greatest gift I was ever given in my life was sobriety. My introduction to it, you know? And I was resistant to it for so long. And it's like all these gifts that I was given, you know, counseling for my marriage. I talked a lot about that tonight, you know. All of these gifts that I've been given in my life that you can't like wrap and, you know, put a bow around are the ones that have been, I think, the most priceless, honestly. And I don't really cry like out of sadness. I cry like out of extreme joy, because I don't know, like, it terrifies me sometimes to think of what my life would look like had I not got sober. like, had I not, and I really, to be honest with you, got sober out of fear because I didn't know what to do, because I didn't know what else to do with my life. I just had no clue, you know? So, yep. That's the story of the pickle lady night and New Year's. All right, you guys, I've been talking long enough, and the camera has fallen over about 15,000 times. So I'm gonna get off here now. Thank you for listening tonight. I have no idea how long this vlog is, that I said it wasn't gonna be long. And I hope you guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me. I love this vlog, and I love interacting with you guys and seeing the stories that you share with me, but more than that, like, I get to relive some of these things in my life that, honest to God, like, if I wasn't sitting here talking out loud to myself in a car, like, I wouldn't relive these. I would think about them, but I wouldn't relive them. And it's so cathartic and therapeutic for me. And I remember things in ways that, you know, like, I need to remember them. So, thank you for allowing me that opportunity. For all of you out there that have stuck around for a long time, and for all of you new people that have just found me recently, I really appreciate it. And I love you. And I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday, beginning to your weekend, unless you have other plans. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Look yourself in the mirror. Say it to yourself until you believe it. I love you. And pass it on, tell somebody else. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.